One of the reasons people hesitate to buy EVs is the charging time. But what if I told you that a breakthrough technology is set to change all that and potentially threaten the existence of gas cars? Chinese automaker BYD recently announced a breakthrough technology that might actually put EVs on par with gas cars in terms of the refill time. And that would allow a electric vehicle to charge in roughly 5 minutes to get a full range of driving. This is achieved through their Super E platform. Now, what is Super E? Well, it's a combination of technologies that really optimizes the charging time for electric vehicles. This includes some of the motors that go into electric vehicles as well as the battery technology. But then there's also the power output aspect of it as well. Super E platform outputs up to 1,000 kilowatts or a megawatt of charging, and that's really unbelievable. Tesla's Supercharger, by comparison, outputs it up to roughly 500 kilowatts. And so this is quite an achievement by BYD. Now, if you're not familiar with BYD, they are one of the world's largest EV makers aside from Tesla, and they've really taken much of the world by storm with their electric vehicles, particularly in Europe. So 1,000 kilowatts of charging output, or a megawatt. Is this technology really practical, and what does it mean for the EV market overall? We're going to break that down in this video. So what are we talking about here? Well, BYD's technology, the Super E platform, really is a breakthrough technology because it really puts electric vehicles potentially on par with gas vehicles in terms of charging time. So what's behind BYD's technology, their Super E platform technology, and how is it that they've been able to accomplish something that no other EV manufacturer has been able to do thus far? Well, this is due to a redesign of their blade batteries. The new batteries support a multiplier, a charging multiplier of 10C. And what this means is how quickly a battery can be charged within an hour. So 10C or 6 minutes. And that is quite a noteworthy accomplishment as it relates to EVs. The reason being is because you have the issues of range anxiety, number one, for EVs, where people are very reluctant to buy EVs because they're afraid of getting stranded due to the fact that there is insufficient public charging infrastructure in many parts of the world. The other issue is the charging time for EVs. Many EVs take quite a considerable amount of time to charge, and BYD, with their technology, believes that they have addressed that, and so now an EV can charge with BYD's technology as quickly as a gas vehicle. But it's not just about the batteries that make BYD's technology so noteworthy. BYD has also improved or introduced silicon carbide chips. Now, these chips are advanced semiconductors that govern the power, the efficiency, as well as the overall management of the battery inside electric vehicles. This differs from traditional silicon chips. Silicon carbide chips run cooler and are much more efficient than their silicon counterparts. And so with this, BYD is able to improve the efficiency of their electric vehicles along with the battery technology. But beyond the batteries and the silicon carbide chips, there are also the motors. Silicon carbide can actually help motors run more efficiently as well as rev higher. And with their technology, BYD has announced an improvement of their electric motor technology. Beyond the efficiency of silicon carbide, it also provides benefits as it relates to the power delivery in electric vehicles. Silicon carbide allows for more linear delivery of power to the electric motors, and that is what BYD has introduced with their Super E platform. So all of these technologies go hand in hand to, one, improve the charging experience, charging times, as well as the overall driving experience and efficiency for their electric vehicles. When it comes to EV technology, we often hear about the battery technology from battery makers and automakers. But what BYD is doing is not just about the batteries. It's really built around the silicon carbide technology. What this allows for is higher power density, allowing those megawatt charging speeds. And that's something that other automakers simply can't replicate with the current technology. A couple of months ago, Ford CEO Jim Farley went on record to say that the Chinese have technology that the Americans simply don't, and that if America doesn't catch up fast, the Chinese will really dominate the EV market. Beyond electric vehicles themselves, it's really the key components that underlie electric vehicles, at least Chinese electric vehicles, that make it very difficult for American and European automakers. First of all, the Chinese EV market, many of the automakers are vertically integrated, meaning that they have both the battery technology as well as the overall EV manufacturing ecosystem that makes them able to produce EVs at a very competitive price point. And this is simply something that the Americans and Europeans haven't been able to replicate. One, sourcing those critical minerals, many of which are found in China, and then number two, being able to produce competitive EVs at an affordable price point in order to be able to compete effectively with the Chinese. Now, this hasn't been so much of an issue in the American market because Chinese EVs don't have much of a presence, but in Europe, this has been a major issue for the European automakers, prompting actual government or European Union action to really stave off the impact of Chinese EVs on the market. And this has come in the form of tariffs, which have been quite controversial. Okay, so great. So we have this EV charging technology, which is going to allow EVs to charge as quickly as gas vehicles. But it's going to take some time to roll out the infrastructure with this type of capabilities, especially when considering that BYD is really the only company at the moment that has this type of technology. Other automakers simply need to catch up. Now, to this end, BYD recognizes that, and they plan to roll out 4,000 EV charging stations across China to really build up that infrastructure. And that will help, one, address some of these concerns as it relates to EV adoption, as well as making sure that there is robust infrastructure for further uptake of electric vehicles. But here's the big question: is this really practical? We've heard of megawatt charging before, and this is as it relates to trucking. Now, electric trucks have massively larger power requirements than vehicles do, given their weight and the types of loads that they have to carry. But even still, megawatt charging requires a significant amount of electrical infrastructure in order to support it. When we talk about automobiles, passenger automobiles particularly, then this is a situation that we have to consider how well it will scale. There are many more passenger vehicles on the road than trucks. And when we start talking about an increased uptake, even a modest uptake of electric vehicles, certainly there are going to be concerns about how to provide the type of infrastructure sufficient for all of these EVs on the road. Now, this can be accomplished efficiently through renewable energy. If that occurs, what will happen is we have a very sustainable solution to support charging of electric vehicles. Now, if that can't be achieved, then we would be looking at relying on fossil fuels to power EVs, which really calls into question the sustainable benefits of electric vehicles. So it remains to be seen how much investment will be made in providing green infrastructure for these electric vehicles and how quickly it can be done. Now, let's talk about the pros. Well, the biggest pro is being able to charge your vehicle quickly. So imagine being on a road trip and being able to continue your trip within 5 to 10 minutes of your stop. No more sort of waiting 30 minutes or more for your vehicle to charge or taking a break, especially when you're trying to make it to your destination by a certain time of day. So that will certainly influence the consideration set for those considering an electric vehicle when an electric vehicle is able to charge on par as quickly as it relates to how quickly a gas vehicle can be refueled. When compared to gas vehicles, the benefits of EVs are clear. No more trips to the gas station, less emissions, and lower maintenance costs overall. And beyond that, this really is not about the speed as it relates to the transition to EVs, but becoming more sustainable as it relates to transportation. Earlier in the video, I made mention of Tesla's Supercharger. Now, while BYD's technology is great, one of the benefits to owning a Tesla is the Supercharger network. Tesla has an extensive global network of superchargers, which has really been quite a convenience to Tesla owners and is increasingly being opened to EVs from other automakers. BYD, however, does not enjoy that type of ecosystem for their vehicles, so there's still a lot of catching up for them to do, but the technology does look promising, and if they can deliver, certainly this will really have a positive impact on the growth of BYD in the EV market landscape overall, as well as I mentioned earlier, just increased EV adoption. So BYD's Super E platform is a potential game changer, and I don't throw that term around lightly. Now, the technology is already reflected in two of their most recently announced models, the Han L and the Tang L SUV. The SUV goes for roughly $37,000 US. Now, the big thing is that it's still going to take the infrastructure to influence uptake of EV adoption. Without it, that's still going to be the issue due to range anxiety as well as the charging times. But hopefully we're moving in the right direction as it relates to BYD's technology, but we're going to need that from other automakers. So let me know what you think about this latest announcement from BYD and whether you think this will have a meaningful impact on the EV market overall. As always, thanks for watching this video, and be sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video soon.